He's not very professional, this Billy.
No, no.
Just saying, bro. Just saying.
The first one.
Right, we try again. We'll try again. Live from
From the
Airstrip
top.
1. From the top.
Here we go. That's live now. That's live.
There you go. So, I'm Billy. That's Mackie. We had
So we
some
were talking
technical
to three of
glitches
us.
at the start of the... Yep. So, here we go.
All right.
Here we go. So, yeah. So, now there's going to be a small delay to the start because I fucked up. But hello and welcome again to Live from Airstrip 1.
Teething pains, bro. Teething pains. It happens.
Yeah,
Still new
it
to
happens.
this. No.
Yep. So today's issue is really about the deep state, and we have Mackie to chat about it. As you heard, him plugging away in the background, taking the piss out of me as normal. And
That's
also,
right.
we have Brian over there in the USA, the Americas.
That's right. Happy to be with you guys on a Saturday. I get to enjoy some cannabis. It's sunny finally here in Colorado, so it's going to be a nice little conversation.
Nice.
Yep. So, guys, what do you think really that the deep state is? What's your first impression of when someone says the deep state? What do you think it is?
Are you talking to me or Brian?
Any one of you?
Well,
I
I'll
can
go
go
first. Yeah, come on, you go first because you're in the
Yeah,
USA.
yeah,
So
yeah, being in the
it'd be good to
USA,
get
I
your
think.
perspective.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so when I first got into this, when somebody would say the deep state, my mind first thinks of Jim Mars, and when you're going way back into the Bilderberg group. And so when you're talking deep state, in my opinion, that's people that have been in power, real power, where we don't elect them. And so behind the scenes, behind the shadows, if you're not familiar with the Bilderberg group, the reason why they're called that is because they have no name. So the best way that Jim Mars always explained this is imagine having 100 of the best anything, 100 of the best athletes, 100 of the best bankers, 100 of the best engineers, all meeting up in one kind of area year after year after year. But the thing with the Bilderberg group is there's a total media blackout. No one talks about it, especially in the early days when Jim Mars was exposing all of this kind of stuff. So the deep state has been around for an extremely long time, and I think you're starting to see it rear its ugly head up against Elon Musk now that they can't really touch Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's quite strange how I suppose the media and the bandwagon has jumped on Musk straight away like that, in a way, like he is anti-America, which is really, to me, very odd that they're trying to say Musk is anti-American.
Well,
But yeah.
no, I knew that was going to happen as soon as Donald Trump won the election, because at that point Donald Trump was enemy number one, because he's the biggest threat to the establishment, as far as many people see it. So, but then when he won the election, it's like, oh shit, what is in now? There's nothing we can really do, but we can get to Musk. We need to do something about Musk because he's in control of pretty much the only social network that isn't controlled by the deep state, for lack of a better term. So they want to try and discredit him as much as possible. Even with all the amazing things he has achieved, they have managed to convince more than 50% of the population that Elon Musk is the devil, is the next Hitler, all this crazy shit. And it's because pretty much the establishment are threatened by him. He has the ability, he has the power to take down this establishment that has taken control of absolutely everything. There's no denying at this point. I'm sorry, I'm rambling for a bit here, but there's no denying at this point that the mainstream media networks are controlled by big pharma and the military industrial complex. If anybody denies that at this point, then you need to shake your head a little bit and wake up, because it's pretty fucking clear at this point. When we've had the whole shit that went down a few years ago.
I slightly disagree there. It is them, but I also think there's groups behind them, like obviously the bankers and the oil,
Deep State,
some of the oil
Vanguard,
people,
State Street.
Yeah, all of that, and you've got like the Square Mile people in the city of London, so that's also a part of it. So, and strangely enough, I do.
Soros? Do you guys consider Soros part of the deep state?
Yeah,
I didn't.
Do in a way.
I just quickly need to explain what I think the deep state is. And I don't think it
Okay,
goes just as for like the definition, just because of the wording of it. I don't think the Illuminati, the Bilderberg Group, or those companies or anything like that are part of the deep state. I see the deep state as members of government who are elected and then do not have like a term limit on how long they can serve. So you've had these people who have been in politics for 50 years in the same positions and have never really been re-elected to be in that position. So they managed to control a lot of things over a long period of time. You know, there's been numerous presidents come and go. And it's like when the president arrives, he's just the new guy. You know, we just need to explain this shit to him. This is how it's going to go down. Don't rock the boat. And that's what I see the deep state as. It's like these people who have just been in control for a long time, but were never really elected into the position of power that they are in. And it doesn't necessarily mean like billionaires and bankers and people like that. Maybe it's members of the military industrial complex, you know, members of big media companies, things like that. That's what I see the deep state as.
Yeah.
I think the Bilderberg Group is a secret society, something that's even above the deep state. That's deeper than deep state. That's how I see it.
I see, as you say,
I
like
was going to ask you to clarify that because I feel that, at least in my opinion, it does seem like the Bilderberg Group sometimes decides, or it used maybe in the earlier days would decide which president would be kind of forced upon the people.
Yeah, I see. The Bilderberg Group was one of the parts of the deep state, and obviously had a big influence on some of the decisions. But I think that sort of splintered off now into various other things because you've got like far more people involved in it now than what there was because of the money involved and the amount of businesses that have billions. So you need to have billions to join their club, if you get what I mean. So
yeah.
Davos has got a lot to do with it, isn't it? Like the World Economic Forum, the WHO, the WHO have got a lot to do with it. The World Health Organization, isn't it? I believe are also part of it. I even believe that some of the like the Red Cross and some of the larger charities like that are part of it, even possibly Greenpeace as well, because as far as I'm concerned, Greenpeace should have taken over Africa and made hemp and then turned everything into plastic and just taken over the plastic market and then killed oil that way, but they didn't. So I think they were bought off again myself. So it's a part of it all, if you. I mean, it's like it's where can they control us? How can they control us? And then invite the people with that power of like farming and food and health and everything else they can control us with into their fold. And if they don't join them, then they probably be swinging from a tree or something after feeling a little bit sad. But
yeah. Do you think the deep state is going to get rid of Zelensky now that he publicly basically spoke down to Trump and JD Vance?
No, he's proved himself to be a complete twat. Yeah, I think they've got to get rid. I think they've got no choice, have they? Because like, I think Europe, obviously the EU, who are part of the deep state, I believe as well, are propping him up, and that's why Starmer's gone there to try and throw some money at him because obviously he's massively part of the deep state. So
what do you think is going to happen then? Because I don't know, man. It's difficult, and it seems as if it's all run by the military-industrial complex. There's so much more going on to this than Russia just decided one day, let's go and invade Ukraine. That seems like a good idea. And, that was in 2022, because it goes much deeper than that for a long time. And it seems as if it's been orchestrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
I think that's deeper than deep state. I think deep state necessarily is just like the USA.
It's like the political side
like
of
Nancy
things. Pelosi.
Pelosi. I mean. Nancy Pelosi is a member of the deep state. That's how I see it, because she's in control of so many fucking things. And she's been in position of power for such a long time.
It's mostly follow the money, you mean? That's the sort of like whoever's got the money connected to the banks and like the Rothschilds and Bilderberg original banking groups sort of thing. They're the ones who are in control. Again, it's all like alleged stuff because we can't.
No,
we don't have no physical proof.
When it comes to
we
BlackRock,
do have some.
We do.
Proof.
We do. When it comes to BlackRock,
yeah,
we have loads of evidence to suggest they're in
circumstantial,
control of 75%.
Isn't it? Yeah.
No,
It's
no, it's not. You follow the money. You can follow
obviously,
the
yeah,
paperwork.
but that's the thing. It's not 100% proof, but it is if you look at it on paper. You're like, well, it just says it to you, but it doesn't say it to you in black and white. It's not like we are the deep state, we control everything. It says it in zeros and ones. It's in binary. You have to learn to read the code. If you know what I mean?
No, it's straight there. If you just do a half hour's research, you can see what companies BlackRock are in control of, and it might not say them directly, but a company like underneath their
Yeah,
next
that's
level,
what I'm
which
saying.
they
You got to
own,
do a
is
little bit of digging.
51% shareholder
Yeah.
of this particular company and
Yeah.
shit like that. They
But
control
they
75% of the world assets or some
Yeah,
crazy
they-
shit like that.
They own like 15-20% in almost every major business, at least across the fucking. No, even in football clubs and all of that. They have.
Yeah.
It's
Everywhere.
It's mad everywhere. Yeah, it's stupid, isn't it? That America and the United Kingdom and like we owe money to a private bank. It's like, but we're an entire country. How can a bank and a person like a
Well, we owe
private
money
bank
to
have?
private families
Yeah,
that
exactly. It's like
call
we
themselves a bank.
yeah, we own armies. It's like we can just say, look, you know what? Fuck you, you ain't paying. What you gonna do? Like,
But
well,
they own the armies, bro, because they own the government.
exactly. But that's the thing. It's like, but that's why in my head we know that. But even then, it's like, well, why the fuck should we pay them? It's like, it's gonna be odd. Do you think then when they do go in to look for the gold, is it gonna be there or not? What's your view on that? Because that's a big part of it, isn't it? The old Fort Knox and all the gold they stole off of like India and China and Afghanistan and other places they've raided. China are asking for their gold back, aren't they? Which the USA was meant to be put into storage for them.
Yeah.
They're asking it for it back, and America are delaying. It's like, well, why? Yeah, exactly.
I know there's been a lot of talk about it recently. I would hope that the gold is there. But nowadays, what currency is even based on the gold standard anymore? They're all based on some kind of fiat currencies, isn't it? The
Pretty much, yeah.
petrodollar is a certain thing, you know, so it's based on something, but it's not gold. It's not a precious metal like it used to be. It's more like the petrodollar now. And you know, the military itself is a commodity, you know,
Yeah,
which strengthens the dollar too.
anyone who wanted to put their entire country's budget on a gold standard as well seems to have like fallen foul of a few bombs or a missile or a knife or a gun or some sort of weapon.
Oh, look, they have weapons of mass destruction.
Destruction. Yeah,
We
basically.
need to stop
yeah.
them now, quickly. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean there, Mackie. What do you mean there, Mackie?
I plead the fifth. All right.
even though in Airstrip 1 you plead the fifth, I love it.
Oh man, we have to even more. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody knows what I mean when I plead the fifth. You know, it's just best not to go into it. You know, but we all know what happens. Man. I mean, Mad Dog in the chat here has put, "We are not suicidal too." Indeed, you know, we're gonna find ourselves in a sticky situation. We won't, because we've only got 3 people watching. It's you know, it's if it ever gets to like we've got millions watching and we're saying things like that, then you have to be a little bit more concerned, because we've seen people suffer for having opinions that don't line up to the mainstream narrative.
What if the psyche seems to change in the world with the way that things are going, where they're releasing the Epstein files, releasing the JFK files, where now uncovering the truth is kind of becomes that paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Where you can freely talk about this stuff because people are like, you know, we're sick of it.
It does seem as if we're heading in that kind of direction, like either a strong way in where everything's transparent or where everything's covered up. We're kind of in this middle point, like a fork in the road, where we're going to go one way or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're very much under the thumb of both governments still, in a way. There's still lots of rules and regulations they're trying to push in, especially in the UK here, with trying to control what we're allowed to say and do online. Obviously, Apple, the backdoor Apple stuff for all our messages being looked at.
Talk about Billy Keir Starmer the other day. He was there with Donald Trump, and he says that the UK have got a long history of free speech, and he's very proud of that. You know, so
that's a very good
Keir
point.
Starmer said that. So
it must be true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. He said it to an American president in the fucking White House as well.
In the Oval Office.
In the Oval Office. So, yeah, quite important. So I'm sure he wouldn't have lied to him, would he?
No, I'm sure he
do
wouldn't have
that.
lied.
No.
There's not grannies being arrested for saying random shit on Facebook
Exactly.
and things like that.
Yeah,
It's
so we should be okay.
bullshit.
We
Yeah.
should be okay. Have you got a big envelope ready to pass to someone, by the way?
No,
Oh,
no.
well.
Hey, what do you guys think about the 2 shooters being confirmed?
Has it been confirmed?
Yeah, I think it was the Attorney General was saying that it's now been confirmed that there's 2 shooters and then more stuff supposed to come out.
And you're on
haven't
about
seen-
RFK or Trump
JFK.
shooting?
JFK.
The JFK, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the JFK shooting, man. Double shooters. Not surprising, though, is it, to be
No,
honest?
absolutely not. No.
I mean, anybody
hey-
that watches that film is like, he goes forward then backwards. So how would that happen?
Yeah.
Back into
Yeah.
the left.
Everyone knows there ain't a magic bullet as well, sort of thing.
Yeah, what a weird thing to put on the American public back then, where they're just at home cooking dinner, watching their new invention, the TV, and they just go, "Oh, magic bullet," and they're like, "Oh, okay, magic
Yeah.
bullet."
It's like that's how fucking dumb they think you are. Like that is bad,
that's
isn't it?
pretty rough,
That's
dude.
pretty fucking rough if they think you're that fucking stupid. That is the IQ. Like I know I've seen some of the clips of Americans, and I know some of you are probably dumb as fuck, but I'm like, hello, but at least 52% of you have some sort of like way of thinking in your brain about normal shit. Because obviously you've invented loads of fucking shit. Like you've built yourself into America, so you're not going to be that dumb, are you? Look at the size of your fucking skyscrapers you've got, for Christ's sake. Like so, but you still get cucks out there which are just unbelievably stupid. And I think that's what the deep state are relying on and leaning on right now. I think are these type of people that can't really think for themselves and that rely heavily on governments to tell them what to do and what to think because they can't do it for themselves. It's like banging your head against a brick wall, but if you do, you're just going to become as dumb as them. So what do we do? That's the other question about the deep state. What do we do about the deep state if it is the deep state?
I think they're in panic mode, man. I think that this is the first time their power has truly ever been challenged since being established.
You think that this is the best thing, like say how Trump's going about it now, really, just to strip them hard and fast?
What I think is pretty obvious anyway, Donald Trump is not an establishment candidate. That's I mean, he may be part of the establishment. He's a billionaire and shit. You know, he's been rich for his whole life, but he's not business as usual. They don't control him the way that they've controlled presidents of the past, I think, anyway. And that's why they try so hard to slander him as much as possible and make sure people think that he's just crazy and shit. You know, and I don't know, man. What do you think? You think I'm crazy?
Well, I think you're crazy, but also it's it's true. So I suppose what can we do there?
It's just scary to think about, man.
Trump's the only president or current age president to be in office and lose money. They all make money doing it.
Lots of money too. Lots of money.
Also,
So
be
there is
interesting.
something there too. When people try to talk all that shit and you hit them with those facts, it's like, oh, really? Then if he's in it for the money, he's losing money. This guy, he doesn't seem like he likes to put up with a bunch of bullshit for really no reason. This second time around, I think he's changed. Like if you're trying to say that Trump is the same person that he was in his first administration, I would disagree with that. I think something happened when he almost got killed, and that made an old man feel a certain way. And then when he got elected, I think that gave him the power to realize that America also agrees with him, that this is some bullshit. It was Grandpa Jones over here running the country, and I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you felt it over there, but like groceries and stuff were literally going up like 50%. Like the amount of that kind of stuff. And then I have 4 children, so I mean, they don't stop eating. So it's just like groceries now are getting close for a month. for my family are close to what a mortgage used to be maybe a decade ago. It's like
It's quite,
$1,500 a month.
yeah, it's a good price that really, isn't it, to pay? It's a big, well, it's like
That's a big number for food, man. And
Yeah.
and to be fair, my family, we try our best to eat organically, so it is a little bit higher than normal. But like I have chronic inflammation, I had rheumatoid arthritis, all this bullshit, and I've been trying to heal myself with fasting and all these kind of things that I'm seeing progress with. But I know that that came from the early days of just eating whatever I wanted, mostly like processed foods, especially in college and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I try to
To me,
have
that's deep
fresh meat
state
and
too.
stuff now. Oh
To
yeah,
me,
yeah,
that's
the
deep
food,
state.
yeah, the processed
Yeah.
food is most certainly. You look at the ingredients; they're certainly processing you into a big lump of lard. So you're easy to control. If you depend on the state for your food and medication to keep you alive, then because you're not healthy enough to do it yourself, well, you've got
So
no
saying
choice,
all
have
this,
you?
with the price of food going up, and it's just like the whole world is heading, well, the whole Western world at least is heading in a particular direction where it just all looks fucked, and it all seems to be orchestrated in some way. So I think we can all agree that there is some kind of, I don't know, cabal, some kind of organization that have control of all of these governments in all of these different countries: France, Germany, Australia, UK, USA, Canada. These countries that it just, and maybe other countries as well, who just don't look into it to that extent. But it just all seems as if they're controlled by somebody. You think that it is the WEF? Do you think they are actually in charge, or somebody is in charge of the WEF? How deep does it go? What are you saying, Brian? Like, give us the ladder of what you're looking at. It's like this ordinary. We're at the politicians level. What comes next? What's going on? You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you
What
know
do
the
I think
question
of
I'm
like?
asking? Like, how many
I
levels do you think this shit goes? From the politician level to the top people who are actually running the world. How much is in between them?
Yeah, I think there's definitely layers to it, and I think there's like the Soros of the world, and then there's the Koch. You ever heard of these guys? It's
Mhm.
KOCH brothers.
Yeah, man. Koch
Yeah.
So
brothers. Yeah.
they're kind of the equivalent on the other side, like extremists on both sides. And then I think there's people that have even deeper pockets than them. I think there's a lot of royalty that goes deeper into this kind of stuff. The bloodlines and stuff seem to really matter to the ultra elite, the wealthy individuals, and I think
Yeah.
there's something to that. And so when you're saying like, how come certain people can't get into this kind of stuff? I think when you're if I was a billionaire, it would make sense why I would want to just hang out with other billionaires, because the other people just don't have that same worldview as we do. And then as the years have gone by, some of those billionaires seem to have been like, you know what, money isn't the only thing I'm after. Ultimate power for some of them seems to be that goal. And so they get into politics, or they put people into politics. And I think that's where Mackey's getting at, is that sometimes it's almost like an industry plant in the hip hop, or really any music industry, right? Where it looks like they came up from nothing, but the reality is there's some mega corporation that's behind them, pumping them out. I think that happens a lot with the political world. I've always said that behind the scenes, it's kind of like the early WWF wrestling days, where they go out there in the center ring and they talk all this shit, and then they run back into the back and they giggle about how they were talking all this shit about each other. I do think that now that Trump is now in here and he will openly say that shit in public and clearly, like in the early debates, I don't think that they ever thought that he would do that. And so that's the part that has made him scary to the deep state, is that there is no way, like Mackie was pointing out and Billy is pointing out, to control him. He's a billionaire. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need your money. This is his second term, so it doesn't really matter to him about approval rating. And in my opinion, it seems like he's going out of his way to try to keep as many campaign promises as possible, to show that this time, hopefully, things are a little different here. And if we turn things around, this country could be well, not only our country, but the world could be extremely wealthy again instead of in debt. And I know that that's the deep state's goal, is to always have whatever dollar is printed, they want to make sure that a 25 or 30% comes back. I mean, imagine that. Imagine if the three of us somehow created the Federal Reserve, and we called it the Federal Reserve. It has nothing to do federally with anything. They're
Same
very
with the Bank
clever
of
with
England,
that.
isn't it? The Bank
Right.
of
It's like
England
the
is
Patriot
not
Act.
anything to do. Yeah, yeah. They always use
Yeah.
these dodgy words to make us think about, think of it from a specific angle. They do it on purpose as well. They know exactly what they're doing, man. It's ridiculous. And you can
Yeah,
see it. It's
it's
so
very
blatant.
clever.
Yeah. Well, I
I
suppose
mean,
it's not blatant, is it? You have to be told. I mean, there'll be people who just heard me say that the Bank of England is not part of the UK government or anything. It's a private organisation. And does anybody even know? I mean, briefly, how this fiat currency shit works, or how banks work? Is the government goes to a bank? So our government, UK government, would go to the Bank of England and say, "Bank of England, we need £5 billion," and the Bank of England will be like, "Okay, here's £5 billion for your economy, and we were just going to charge 2% interest rates on this." Just hypothetically throwing numbers out there. So then the country takes that 5 billion and agrees to pay the 2% interest. Now, after a while, it's the country's like, okay, here's that 5 billion back, but that's all the money that country has. They borrowed all of their money in their whole economy is just, say, for example, 5 billion. So they've borrowed that from the bank. So there is no money in the economy. It doesn't exist to pay back the interest. So we're just constantly in this cycle of debt, whether it's the government paying to the bank or us paying to somebody else or whatever. There's this cycle of debt to keep us all in the system. That's how fiat currencies work, essentially, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's the central bankers are controlled, and any, like you had mentioned earlier, any country that's gone against that is usually now some kind of third world country.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think if most people realize like where their money comes from or how they kind of create it and who controls it. None of those people are elected. And again, I think that's why it comes back to Elon Musk and stuff, is because they've had such a control over this that no one's ever been able to check anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're saying like what's going on in Fort Knox, I think most Americans are now realizing like, hey, yeah, how come we have never had all these checks? Like if I ran a Smoothie King, which is like a little popular smoothies in my town, right? I would have to have all of these records and stuff because it's a franchise, and I have to basically report to my overlords, the owners of the Smoothie King Corporation, that allows me to be a franchise. And I have to open up all these books, and they check all of that stuff to make sure that hopefully, this location doesn't go out of business. And to think that our government's been run this way without any kind of checks or balances, any kind of auditing system with how much gold we have, is frightening. And I hope that if they do open that shit up, that there's a ton of gold in there. But my gut feeling says it's going to be like Geraldo Rivera when he opened up one of the gangsters' vaults, and there was literally nothing in it.
Imagine that, because there's supposed to be 4,000 tons of gold in Fort Knox or something crazy like that. Ridiculous.
lot.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
supposed to have all the countries' gold. There's supposed to be
Yeah.
a bunch of different countries' gold in there because we're supposed to be the protector. But if
Yeah,
we
you're
stole it
storing
all-
and protecting. Yeah, imagine that. You stole it all and sold it all, and then on the sly. It's going to be
got rid of the
mental.
gold standard.
It's going to be turmoil, man. It is going to be a bit lunacy, isn't it, in a way? Do you think that it is just that how the money controls the world is what causes all the wars as well because of that? If you know what I mean. So the money and the war system are just basically
Wars
so
make money.
Yeah, but they're so interconnected that they sort of can't stop. Like if you play the game of Risk and other war games, you sort of understand how it generates.
Yeah.
And
this is
the
one of the
cycle
things as
can
well.
just go on. Yeah.
This is one of the things as well when it comes to the money that's being spent. And you can understand the government to some extent being like, oh, there's 100 billion missing from the fucking records. Why it went on military stuff? And it's like, yeah, but what did it go? And it's like, you can't really tell you about that one. You got to try and keep a little bit secret. So, so the adversaries don't find out about what technologies we're working on and things like that. So I can agree to that to some extent. But it's come to the extent where with the checks that have gone on recently, it's like 25 billion to go to make a Sesame Street in Iraq. And that is like one of the things that has been cancelled now. It's like and that's just one of many, many things that where it's like the US taxpayer is happy to just pay that shit, but nobody was checking. So it's like, yeah,
No,
man,
no
just
one's
pay.
happy to pay that shit, dude.
Yeah, you know what
Not
I
at
mean?
all.
Well, there's got to be a few because, some people out there are just crazy. Just be like, yeah, we shouldn't even be asking the government. The government should be able to spend the money on whatever it likes because, there's some people out there who just watch too much of the mainstream media and have been indoctrinated so deep that they can't even see themselves in the shit that they chat sometimes, you know?
Do you think that like programs like the View and stuff
Yeah,
like
poison.
that are
Poison.
apart from being poison, are there purposely to help to control the people? You know what I mean? To brainwash them.
That's a good question, isn't it? Because it seems that way, but at the
It
same
must be.
time, it's like the Facebook statuses, which you'll get shown, but are just going to make you angry because you're more likely to react to it. More likely and I think they do that with TV shows. Like they know they're going to get particular viewers, and they keep it angry and hateful the way that they do because they know people are more likely to tune in to have the in 1984 the book where they've got that what is it, A Minute of Hate, where they just
Yeah.
fucking stand and scream at the screen with Goldstein on it and shit. That's essentially what the View is. It's so and TV shows like it as well. It's just so people can sit
The
there.
View is
and just-
one-sided view. Like,
yeah,
there's
it's
no.
bad. It's so bad.
Well, did you guys see that Joy Reid? She got fired.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Leftist
so I
tears.
think that kind of shows where corporate anything is at. Like, if you ain't bringing in the money, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And I also think Rachel Maddow, for the way that she kind of was saying that the people that were let go for racial reasons. That's hard to say.
Mhm.
I think she's now in jeopardy because her show
She's
was
just
tanking
stupid.
so bad.
You know what's
It was
crazy?
very
You want to hear
interesting.
something crazy? I
Yeah.
used to enjoy watching Rachel Maddow.
Really?
It's like I used to be the complete opposite side of the coin to what I'm on now. I used to be
Wow.
that
I didn't
guy
know
who, yeah, mate, right, fuck it. Bernie Sanders was my guy. I still like Bernie, but I can see that there's a lot of corruption there. But proper just I don't know, watching too much
He's a
of the
man of the
mainstream
people, man.
media. Well,
He's like
used to be.
He's just
He
like
used
me.
to
He
be.
has 4 houses. Yeah.
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 He just
That's
seems to,
what I mean.
out of all of the
All
politicians, he seemed to have some integrity. You can look back on his record for decades, and it's been the same thing he's been on about for the whole time. Apart from the last few years, it seems to have changed the direction he's heading. But at least he had some integrity. But I say that as somebody who was completely brainwashed by the mainstream media. And well, I say mainstream because the mainstream media didn't like it. But alternative media that you find online on the left, because there's that as well. We have the mainstream media, about 90% of that will push left-wing agenda, and then there's 10% of it which will push right-wing agenda. It's like Fox News versus CNN. They're always trying to push something from a particular angle. But you've also got that kind of shit going on the internet as well, where there's these channels that have that stark difference on the left or on the right. Have you noticed that? It's not just mainstream. You get that shit on the internet as well, like David Pacman. No, that
Yeah,
guy Kyle
yeah, yeah.
Kalinske.
Yeah, that guy, I can't
These
stand that guy, man.
not cases.
Well, the
Yeah,
kiss.
he's not allowed to tell the truth, I guess.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there which are always left or right leaning, but you can see some of them are just so far on, like Harry Sissons in it.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
just
just
so
wicked. Yeah.
so far left that and blind to just normal facts that it's like, oh
Yeah,
my god, it's like
Just logic itself.
yeah, and logic itself, yeah, totally, yeah, it is a bit ludicrous.
But I used to watch all them guys. I used to be a big fan of the Young Turks. Used to watch the Young Turks.
Yeah, I used to watch those guys just
Yeah,
to get
but-
a different opinion. I don't know if I'd say a fan, but I would listen to their opinions.
Yeah, I used
No,
to
I
watch
used to follow
Jimmy
them.
Dore quite a lot, and I still do
That's
now.
right. That's right.
So,
and then
yeah.
Jimmy Dore came along.
I like that guy, Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, man.
He's a comedian too, I think.
Yeah,
and
he
he
is, yeah.
pulls off one of the most honest news channels that there is. Man, you'll see people release major breaking news. They'll release it straight away, but Jimmy Dore, you're like, where's Jimmy's video on this? It's going to be a couple of days because he's doing research. going to come and tell us what actually is fucking going on. I love watching Jimmy Dore. Just he's got so much integrity, man. I feel as if he only presents it if he thinks that it's correct, you know, and he has people do a lot of research on whatever he's presenting. I like Jimmy Dore a lot. Good channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But everything else can be bullshit, you know, because then you got these channels like Tim Pool, who, you know, can embellish things a little bit.
Yeah, he's
sometimes
quite
as well.
serialist, isn't he, as well? But
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
he's in it for the money and the clicks. So
I mean, 99% of the people are definitely in it for the money, man. It's
Mhm,
whatever works, you know.
Well,
I was
I'd like
really
to see-
surprised how many Democrats switched to Republican, and I'm kind of surprised that it didn't take more people didn't follow, because I don't know if you guys followed like Tulsi Gabbard. She
Yeah,
seemed
yeah.
like she was destined for power and seemed like somebody that could beat a Republican. I mean, some kind of, you know, whoever would, I guess, be her opponent. And now the fact that she's on the other side, RFK is on the other side, Elon Musk is on the other side.
Bro,
Like, all
Donald
those
Trump is on the
people
other
are
side.
really-
He was Democrat once as well, wasn't he?
True, yeah.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, all of them, everyone, like the whole lot. Joe Rogan as well. They keep going on
Mhm.
about, oh, we need a left-sided Joe Rogan. It's like, but
It's
you
like
had
a
Joe
left side.
Rogan.
Joe Rogan was on the left.
It's like, yeah.
But the thing is, if
Yeah,
you go
there
back
you
10
go.
years, they would still be considered left. But the left
Yeah.
has moved so far left now that the people who were just slightly left of center have now been dragged way to the right when they haven't changed their beliefs, they haven't changed their perspectives. It's like I was having a discussion with my friend the other day, and we were talking about UK troops going to Ukraine as a peacekeeping force. And I'm like, no, bro, it's absolutely fucking crazy. If Russia decides to go across the border into Ukraine and UK troops have to step in and they get injured, then we'll go into war with Russia. And that's a fucking crazy idea, which we don't want to get involved with. So I think it's better for us to try and avoid war by not sending UK troops over there. And he said, listen to this, brace yourself now, Brian. He said, yeah, well, you're just far right. And I'm like,
Wow.
what part of me being anti-war makes me far right? When the fuck did that happen, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How did
that's-
that used to be a
that's-
far left, to be
Yeah.
completely anti-war, to be pacifist?
It's
Like,
a
war
deep state
under no
control,
circumstance.
isn't it,
It's
of the
crazy.
media pushing the narrative
Crazy.
onto people, and it is like
Mhm.
that. Since COVID, they took advantage of like the two-sided affair, if you know what I mean. The hate for people who don't wear masks and never got jabbed. They
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
played on that split politics down the middle sort of thing, and then just
And
played
you know what it
since
did
there.
as well? When we had that whole COVID kicking off and people had to wear masks and then get vaccinated, and you know they had all this, just this. They had these people who had been bullied for their whole lives for being weak. I don't mean that in a horrible way, you know. You're just hierarchies to society, and some people just get bullied, you know. And then these folk, all of a sudden, they've got something now which is at their back as a group, as a, you know. So, oh, put your mask on. If you don't put your mask on, you're the fuck devil. You're trying to kill people, so they can wear a mask and be a hero, you know.
Yeah,
And put
they've got a
down
moral
other
high
people.
ground.
Yeah, exactly. And they just played on that. And when it was taken away, you know, when everything started to get back to normal, they needed something else to jump on. So then we've seen, you know, this rise in virtue signaling from all over the fucking place because people want to try and maintain that moral high ground, even if what they're saying makes no sense. And it's just pushed further and further and further right, you know, for further
Rachel
left.
Maddow.
Oh man, yeah, Rachel Maddow, fucking Stephen Colbert. I used to like Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, that's a good channel, but goddamn, nah. It's after COVID, the guy's lost his fucking mind, man.
Piers
But he
Morgan
hasn't.
as well.
It's the
He
same.
went all
I've just-
draconian.
But you see, I'm liking Piers Morgan. I used to think Piers Morgan's. a
I
right
like
fucking
him now
crowd.
too. He
But
seems
yeah, his channel's good, man.
articulate.
He's
Yeah.
he's quite good at trying to get
I like
both
Bill Maher.
people
I like
and different
Bill Maher.
people
He's
on.
articulate
Yeah,
on the other side.
I don't like Piers Morgan. I think he's a twat, but I like his show because
Yeah,
he gets-
exactly the same.
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
the same.
yeah.
Because Piers Morgan is a cunt, and he
Yeah.
did break. And, allegedly, and I think it's not even allegedly, but his newspaper company hacked
When
a
he's
dead kid's
editor
phones
of
to
The
get their
Sun.
voicemail and shit, and they've been to court for that. If I'm incorrect, I'm
the
sorry if
Mail
I'm
or
incorrect.
something, yeah.
Don't sue us. You know, he's a crooked guy, man. But the YouTube channel that he's got now he's not on mainstream media. It's fucking good. He gets people from both sides and just lets them have at it, man. So you can listen
he
to
had
both
Jaguar
sides.
Wright on his show, bro.
Well, it is. I think he's trying to earn back some journalistic integrity as well because of what he's done in his past and stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
So
maybe.
yeah, it is part of that. And obviously, he got removed from the news station for being outspoken and sticking to his opinions, which is I agreed with him. It's like, I don't care if I agree with your opinion. He was like, this is my opinion and I'm fucking sticking to it. Fuck you.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yeah, well done. That is what he should have his right to say what he should do. It's like the actual far right and Nazis should be allowed to speak up if they want, because then I know you're a far right Nazi and I can ignore you and probably spit in your direction. But at least you're allowed to speak up. You don't have to go hide in the corner and then jump at me from the shadows.
Where it can fester.
Yeah, exactly. Know? Yeah, it's like I'd rather you speak up so I know who you are, and then
and it can be discussed, and you can change people's minds.
Exactly. When there's 100 far right Nazis there, and you're discussing with them, eventually one of them, I think, hang on, he's actually saying some good shit there. I think I agree with him. And then all of a sudden there's 99 far right Nazis, and then after 100 years there's going to be none because you've done one a year, innit? If you know what I mean, and that's how it goes. That's what philosophy is, and that's what the deep state is scared of.
Into all of their own echo chambers,
and
it just gets bad from there. I like open discussions with people I completely disagree with. I like
open discussion is what the philosophers of the past really pushed the most, isn't it? I want to hear the stuff I don't like because then I can debate against it and then possibly change my mind.
Because and that's what's happened to me.
Because that's what it is. You want to confirm that your views are right or wrong. And the only way you're going to know is if you discuss them with someone else who doesn't share your views. And people that do. So the more confused and consensus you get, then you eventually get the truth, if you know what I mean.
That's how I've gone from
logic
watching channels like David Pakman and Carl Kaninsky and the Young Turks and shit to slowly coming around to watching more like the PBD podcast, Jimmy Dore, Uncensored. You know, or that kind of shit that I feel like, I don't know, just presenting the news in a factual manner as much as possible. There's a little bit of opinion in there as well, but I don't feel like I'm being fed a narrative. I feel like I'm being given just the facts, and then I can make up my own mind, you know.
But they're saying, but this is also my opinion as well. Like, as well as this is the facts. This is my opinion on them facts, if you know what I mean. And then this is being presented as professional as I can, sort of thing, and that's how they go. And that's why I like some of these topical shows again for that reason, because they're digging into what is the deep state and how do we stop it? How do we just be part of
and you can tell
again.
Tell which channels are the ones who are going to speak out against the mainstream bullshit, because the mainstream bullshit will be telling you how far right and crazy all these people are.
Yeah, like us, I mean? we must be far right crazy loonies now.
Remember when Joe Rogan got COVID and they altered the footage of his video which he made when he was in his garden and shit, made him look green, made him look super ill, and put filters on the video.
Like Shrek.
Yeah, you know, why would they do that? Why would they do that? There is clearly an agenda.
See, you know what we need Superman to become a journalist for real, if you know what I mean. Get that journalist integrity back, like. But there is none, if you know what I mean. It's like slime. It's like the Penguin is now a journalist, if you know what I mean. Some slimy, sleazy fucking character is in the news rather than Superman. So if it's what can we do? Because we have to change universities and how they're taught for people then to go into the news to be a bit more normal.
You can do journalism yourself. Start doing journalism. And that's it.
We are here in a way, in a manner.
Just not putting the research in like other channels, like the way Jimmy Dore does, and because that's the thing. It takes research, isn't it, to make sure that you're putting the facts across correctly. But it also takes, when you fuck up, you need to reinform your audience. Be like, look, I got this wrong, so you need to.
That's it. Being able to go back and saying, this is possibly wrong, this is possibly right, and. We don't know what we're doing either, because obviously it's all new to us in a way.
And this is why I like what Piers Morgan's doing, because he doesn't know everything, clearly, because nobody does. So he gets panel members on his show that are far left, far right, center, libertarians. They've got fucking a wide range of people who all disagree with each other, who can
Yeah.
discuss different points, debunk each other, and you might not come up with a conclusion, but you can see which part of the stories are making more sense, and try and come to your own conclusions from a group discussion rather than just listening to one person or two people behind a news desk say this is how you should think about this because we said so. I don't like that.
They are changing sort of like, well, the internet has changed how news is presented to us, because it's presented to us a lot more in this sort of like topical talk show and opinion-based news and factual stuff, more than just like straight, as you say, someone sitting there with the old teleprompter reading the narrative what's been typed out for them. As long as they can read
This
and
is a
speak
threat
well.
to our democracy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, have you seen that clip? It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it is just complete lunacy when you see.
But there's so
that.
many
You're
people
like,
out there
whoa.
who haven't seen it and still think that they can watch the mainstream media and get told what the truth is. They're being force-fed a narrative, and some people are not even aware of that. They think that you're crazy to be like, "Oh, you must have been watching Fox News." It's like, no, because that's what they say. Because Fox News is also just as bad. It's like, you don't understand. I disagree with all of them. I don't watch any of the mainstream media networks.
Yeah, they're all
biased. You got, but it's not like I watch them all rather than just picking one side or the other. I watch shit from MSNBC and and it's dreadful, but I still watch it. I watch shit from CNN all the time. But I also watch stuff from Fox News as well.
Yeah,
but you see how it's easier as well to list off left-leaning media organizations rather than right-leaning media organizations. There's far more left-leaning than there is right-leaning.
It's like 70% to 30%, isn't it? Because I listen as well, like I watch like a lot of the 6 and 8 minute clips of their news reports just to see how they're reporting and what they're reporting on as well.
And the language they use whilst they're reporting.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell sort of some of it's a bit ChatGPT typed out because it doesn't make too much sense.
Well,
like
I notice here in
salad.
the UK, when I'm listening to like the radio, the BBC4 and shit like that, and the news comes on. A couple of weeks ago, they were talking about Trump, and there was like, Mr. Trump said this and Mr. Trump said that. I'm like, how dare they? I never once heard them refer to Joe Biden as Mr. Biden. It was always President Biden, and Donald Trump, whether you like it or not, is the president of the United States. So you should really, out of respect for the office, refer to him as President Trump, right?
Well, yeah, because
Absolutely.
it's President Trump.
Even if you don't like it, still, I don't like King Charles. But you see how I do really, King Charles, please don't sue me. But
it's still King Charles,
you still
though,
say
isn't it?
King Charles, don't you?
Isn't it? Yeah.
No,
if you think he's a cunt or not, it's King Charles.
I don't like the whole monarchy thing, but I still like that was the Queen. You just got to have respect for the fucking office to some extent, I think.
I'd respect for the Queen in a way though, but not for Charles.
I don't know, man.
Not for the current king. Totally.
She seemed like a nice lady, but that's because we didn't see all the darkness.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I had some sort of respect for her. But mostly I had respect for what she'd done as a young girl in the war. So that's why I respected her. She helped keep our country going.
And she was never expecting to be queen, and it was some odd circumstance that made it up. It was never expected. So I think she appreciated the office more.
Yeah, totally. So again, if you have something thrust upon you from these powerful elites, what as a woman, what are you meant to do? You don't have no control, really, do you? You just got to be pushed into it and go along with it.
You think it goes back then? You think?
Yeah.
You think the deep state is bigger now than it was?
Oh,
50
far
years
more.
ago? What would you think?
Yeah, massively bigger. Sort of like exponentially bigger. Like I'm saying before, I think it was just like the smaller Bilderberg type groups, like the small Fed controlled group, the small bankers of the UK, the Dutch and German royal family and things like that, if you know what I mean. So it was just a few families. Now there's more billionaire wealth through like the industrial complex, pharmaceutical companies, as well as the sort of companies that make stupid things like who supplies everything for the NHS and all these contracts, if you know what I mean, all the sort of $1 billion contracts to supply shit to the countries, sort of like all these unheard of companies which you don't know are supplying everything to everyone, making them billionaires and a part of this little controlling elite. And I think there's more of them companies about now. So obviously they're going to be part of the controlling elite. So just because of the amount of billionaires now who control stuff, if you know what I mean. So because they control something, they need to control that billionaire. So they needs to be a part of their thing. Like Facebook never used to be a part, and everyone, all the internet moguls, they were never part of the fucking Bilderberg group and the deep state 20, 30 years ago.
Mhm.
But they are now, if you know what I mean. They
Yeah.
had to get Zuckerberg on his side and tell him what to do, didn't they? So they had to do that. So so they have to bring these new ones into it, if you know what I mean. And that's how I think like some of them have not. Like I don't think Musk really joined them. He sort of like maybe done business with them, but kept them at arm's distance, and that's what they don't like because he's allowed to do his own things. Then he doesn't need them because he's got his own money.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got more money than they do.
Yeah, exactly. So because of that, they obviously can't control him. So that's what they didn't like about Trump. Even though he's sort of like one of them, he's not actually one of them.
Or maybe, like we said, like Brian said earlier, maybe this is like WWE and it is just like a circus that they present to us, and Trump might be in on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't know. He could,
don't
be
know,
just
do you? Yeah.
supporting Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know
We
what I
just
mean?
got Hulk Hogan's
H.
just entered the ring. Yeah. So yeah, he wants to get his
That's
face up on the mountain, like.
That's right. I don't know. I don't trust any of them. That's the thing. And I notice because it's not like I hate Trump, but and it's not like I like Trump. It's like I'm leaning towards liking him more than I used to, definitely, because I used to think he was the orange devil, just like everybody else did. But I've kind of come to the realization that they're all full of shit, man, and you can see clearly that there's some kind of agenda coming from the mainstream media to make us hate Trump because he's not establishment. You know, they
Yeah,
just they exaggerate everything. There was some quote before we just seen. I don't know what it is directly, but if a man has stole from you 11 times, don't try and make out like he stole from you 12 times, because it's bullshit. Then you know it damages all the legitimate things that he did wrong by hyping it up and adding the 12th one to make it seem worse than it actually is. And that's what's happened here with Trump over and over again for near 10 years now. Is they've been going on at him like, oh, look at this, what he's done now. Look at that, what he's done now. And you know, just pulling out all this bullshit. Clear, in my opinion, anyway, clear weaponization of the Justice Department. You know, and people see this shit over time. You know, they might buy into it for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, but when you're getting on to 8, 9, 10 years, people are just bored of it, bored of hearing the same shit, and just don't believe it like they used to believe it. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
that's why
the
I think 12 years. We're about to have 12 years minimum of this kind of belief system in society, in my opinion.
What
yeah,
kind of
it's,
belief system do you mean?
More like common sense type stuff, where Trump,
Mm.
kind of the things he was running on, where it's like, look, do we have answers for all your problems? No, but do we need to answer solve some of these problems? In my opinion, like with the trans stuff, where in my opinion, it is truly fucked up for a grown man to be able to compete against grown women. That
yeah,
doesn't seem
silly.
fair,
Yeah. The original
right?
reason there's women's sport was
And common,
yeah,
to me, that's
it's
common sense. So
yeah, totally.
that kind of stuff seems to be where America is now okay with saying again. It's like, look, I might not agree with what you're saying, but you're not gonna have XYZ in front of my children. You know,
Mhm.
that's I don't care what your belief systems are. That's not gonna happen here, and it's definitely in Colorado that way in certain parts where the common sense aspect of life seems to be potentially coming back. I know it's only been like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, but it definitely feels like there's a whole new buzz in the air in America. And
Oh,
if this continues, I see positive things, which I don't know if people felt that way like 6 months ago, where
well,
things
no,
were headed.
but now they've got the backing of like the federal, like against the state, so they can go to all these parent groups and these sports bodies. By the way, you're actually breaking federal law. If you don't change it now, we're gonna sue your fucking ass, and you're culpable for it. And then these people start to think, oh shit, I'm gonna have to pay out of my own pocket and lose my job. I better not do this bullshit anymore, because they're now on the hook for breaking the law. So, and people are pushing them to change their ways. So, which is good, because obviously we don't need all this sort of like men versus women stuff. And it's ideological stuff rather than over common sense, which is.
And
what
where do you think
America
that comes
is.
from as well? Because it's been like over the last 5 years, this shit's getting
Well, again,
more
it's
and
the
more
deep
prominent.
state
Yeah, it's
pushing
a
it
deep
because
state again.
yeah, it's
But
to
to
create.
what ends? To why would they do that? What do you think their motive is in pushing that kind of
Division.
shit?
It creates division, and it makes people more fight against each other, and then ignore what's going on again with them hiding the money and pushing everything else everywhere and controlling our farms and food and everything else. So, if you know what I mean, it keeps us infighting with each other rather than concentrating on what the politicians have been doing and
Yeah.
destroying and taking our countries away from
Just
us.
segregating us into as many small sections as possible.
Yeah,
So we just argue
segregation.
against one faction
Yeah.
of something, you know?
Yeah,
Whether it's
actual
race,
segregation.
religion, political leanings, what fucking music you like, you know,
'Cause some
what gender you
people
identify as, you know. It's,
some people are actually calling for segregation, and that's a lot of the far left are saying we want to be segregated and we should segregate people from each other because, like, the DEI, we should give like poor black people a boost up. It's like, well, what about Asian people and Mexicans? And like, it's like, so like, it just doesn't equate. It's like the DEI is just like, oh, because they're a minority, yeah, but there's less Asians, but like they're getting pushed out of fucking Eton and all that, even though they got highest, like, almost perfect scores. It's just ludicrous. It's like you're losing the top elite just to boost up a few people, and it's like, well, maybe if you educated them people were originally better, then they don't need a boost up, because America is the boost up, if you know what I mean. So if you educate them properly in school, which is where it's all gone wrong in the education system, that's where the boost up is, isn't it? If you know what I mean. It's not giving a boost up and then a fake degree into a job they can't do. It's like, no, educate people properly in the first place. And that's what the deep state, again, I think, have destroyed, is that side of things, the education of the young, and obviously in universities as well, offering you stupid courses which don't actually teach you anything, and you're not able to survive in a normal world because your degree don't mean shit and never taught you anything.
Jesus,
Be an
Billy.
entrepreneur.
You went
Yeah,
off on a one
anyway,
for a bit
geez.
there, bro.
Yeah, I was a bit ranty, wasn't I? I better light up
Yeah,
this
man.
other joint then.
That's right. What are you smoking on? What you got?
I've got some of the. I've lost the fucking label and I added hash to it, so that's what you
Nice. Great strain name, that one as well, Billy.
do. Yeah, I love that lace strain. Great strain. I've grown quite a lot of it.
Yeah, you know. That's one of the things you know. Well, we won't talk about cannabis so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you got something nice there, Brian? You say you got the rosin.
Oh, yeah, I got the citrus claws. It's very orange citrus tasting and smelling. And then we got the
Nice.
Puffco, so that makes it nice. You know, the best part of this conversation, there was a family next to me because I'm at this reptile show this weekend. And there's a family getting into their big ass SUV. And 3 times in the conversation, Billy said the word Nazi, and the whole family was looking at me like, what the fuck?
That's
Jesus.
quite funny.
So I
Yeah.
enjoy this conversation, man. But I thought that was I wanted to share that because no one else is even in this parking lot really, but it was just the perfect timing of our conversation to have it where
Yeah,
Billy
one
was
of the-
talking about
Brilliant.
the
they
the
were like,
music
"What the
just
fuck?"
in between songs. You say something. That's it. There's
Like,
a
have you
video
ever
out
been
there
high?
like that.
Like pulled up to like the homie's house and you're high and like the radio's on or whatever and it's like, well, I guess I'm dating myself, but it'd be like Britney Spears and then the homie comes out and he's like, what are you listening to? And you're like, oh man, I wasn't really listening. That's what I felt like that family was looking at me.
Yeah. Funny. Excellent.
There's a video out there, one of these, comedy video, and a guy's talking to his friend at a party, and he's like, the music's playing, and he's like, I just don't like the way that guy's looking at me. Look at him, he's looking at me, and he's shouting at his friend, because the music's really loud, and then he goes, it's not like just the way he's looking at me. The music stops, and he goes, It's the gays. Just don't like the gays. And the whole party looks at him. He's like, oh fuck. So, just taken out of context like that, it was fucking funny. But that's probably a YouTube flag saying that. It's a joke, YouTube. Calm down.
Yeah, we got the one show deleted that one time.
Yeah, man, that our last conspiracy show. Gone.
Wow. They don't want you
Crazy,
talking
man.
about.
Yeah, a certain medical procedure that went on recently. That's what got us shut down. Yeah, you can't talk about that.
Yeah, some stuff is just like is a no-go still, which is silly, isn't it? Because we're meant to have like freedom of speech is meant to be the cornerstone.
Yeah,
of
nobody's
of
going to listen to
society,
us. It's
isn't
like,
it? Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
like fucking hell.
we're telling specifically not to because we're a bunch of stoners chatting shit. So it's like,
You know what I
really
mean?
don't listen to us, mate. It's like, go and find someone who's might be able to educate you. We're just sitting here chatting
I
shit.
don't think anybody's taking any kind of medical information from us. And if they are, then you need to stop. Don't do that.
Yeah, then you need some like seek some medical information from somewhere. So you're gonna need help.
Jesus. Yeah, man. World's crazy right now, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful though. It does seem like things are potentially changing, and if
Well, for you.
if all of these
Yeah, yeah,
like
for
kind
you.
of like bullshit jobs go away,
Yeah, if you can turn America back into America again, that would obviously be a big bonus for the world again. So that gives us in the UK up over here in Airstrip 1 a bit of hope, because we're sort of like we are 1984 at the minute. Literally, it is like, I can't believe that I am
I know,
living
right?
in the book. I am. It's true. It's like,
And it sounds like a hyperbole and shit, but it's
you
for
guys have-
real. Man.
don't you guys have somebody that's pretty articulate that kind of makes jokes about Trudeau and stuff? I see him on like TikTok videos. He seems more like a Trump, like talk shit. He's got brown hair. He looks like he's about like middle, like 5'10", 5'11" kind of guy.
Doing Russell
Yeah,
Brand?
yeah, no, he's on the floor with Justin Trudeau. I just don't know his name.
Nigel Farage. Right, you're probably talking about Farage. No, because Farage wouldn't be seen on the floor with Trudeau, would he?
No.
I'll have to find out what the guy's name is, but he is so well spoken and
Douglas Murray, right? You think Douglas Murray?
Could be Douglas Murray. He's very well spoken.
Yeah, he was like joking about like because Justin Trudeau was talking about all this stuff and how are you saving the planet? And he started out like his family was talking about they use special water bottles, and he was bringing that up when I guess he was on like y'all's dime for the private flights, which is the most CO2 I think a human being can make, like as a directional flight or something like that. I wish I knew his name. It would make more sense. But the guy is quick-witted, man. I hope somebody like that you guys can kind of have someone that is also quick-witted, and then who knows where the world could be.
Mm-mm.
Because when Biden was in charge, people didn't really speak their mind. They just kind of, I think that's why some of the weirder stuff started to pop up. That's because people were like, all right, well, let's keep pushing this and see. Let's have LeBron James dunk on like 19-year-old girls and see if he can win a championship. Like it's so weird when you kind of back yourself up from some of this stuff. Like why would you even want that?
It is a bit odd, isn't it?
Don't want that. Yeah.
Like men were setting like records in the women's weightlifting divisions and things like that. It was
swimming. Like in sports where it's like there's no way you can keep up. I'm talking grown people too, because I've seen, like I grew up playing soccer, and there were definitely when we were in our youth girls that would be running circles around us. But then as you age, things change, man. And that's not fair to someone that is like an Olympic athlete that would have to compete against another Olympic athlete that is also, but was born a man. That doesn't seem fair at all. Like, especially when it comes to weightlifting.
No,
like you
that's
mentioned.
dangerous.
That's crazy. You're not even built the same way.
See, the thing is, you'd get like someone like Usain Bolt, and instead of retiring, he'd just switch to women's sports and then rack up all of their medals. And I mean, then Tyson had come out of fucking. If you know what I mean, he just I think I'll come out of retirement.
Michelle Tyson.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even though he proved that he ain't that great in the ring anyway, because he's old and frail now, but it's.
Yeah, but still, if he went into the women's ring, it would be a different story.
Exactly. It'd be a different story. Yeah, just one punch from him, and they'd like be proper like in coma and everything.
But you're not allowed to say things like that anymore. You can't talk about fucking science. You know, like just what we've always known for thousands of fucking years.
Yeah,
not allowed
men
to talk about
are just stronger than women. It's fact. We've known that since like we've almost been formed by whatever aliens done it. It's so. It's
and of course there's exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, obviously there's always exceptions.
Like there's some women are stronger than some men, but overall men are stronger than women.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just science.
Even Serena Williams and said it about and they had the match, didn't they, as well, like against the world's 200 man, and he beat him like 6-1, 6-2. It's like even she said like there's no way I can compete in men's tennis.
No
it's
shit.
Like it's just stupid. It's like people just need to live up to.
She would kick my ass at tennis.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, smash the bollocks out of me, mate.
That's why people don't understand that argument, because it's like, no, that's not what we're saying. Yes, I'm 42 years old. I would get my ass kicked in probably every sport if I was playing like an Olympic athlete. You know, absolutely. There'd be girls doing crazy layups on me. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not even.
It's about training and commitment and all of that, yeah. But yeah, exactly. But if they wanted to roll up a bong, then you'd be like, yeah, have this dab, you bitch.
I could beat you in that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
Come on, head down.
So, but it's people just don't want to listen to just that's where common sense comes into it. If you know what I mean, you forget about the exception to the rule. You just look at what's logical and what's common sense and what's scientific, and we sort of lost that. Again, I think because of like all this mainstream media sort of pushing false narratives on everyone, people are just trying to come up again, like you said, with as much crazy shit as possible to push, because no one can really push back against it because they're either put in prison or found swinging from a tree or something.
I'll let you guys know, since you're not in America, there has been a noticeable switch in the general psyche of the masses in America, that common sense is going to rule the roost, at least hopefully for the next few years. I'm saying if the right people continue to be elected, that could potentially be 12 years.
So do you think JD Vance taking over from Trump and continuing his work, then that 12 years should then switch America back to what America used to be, as such, a strong, productive country with common sense,
a business-minded country. I think that would be
innovative. So like creating new industry, creating new fucking materials, creating just new stuff, like new science, new maths, landing on the moon again, going to Mars. That sort of shit, stuff you used to do. Remember when like the New York skyline used to be like a wonder of the world, because it was like, wow, look at them building and putting all their technology
and everything.
And that's what I mean.
Modern marvels.
Yeah, modern marvels, and that died. You're not a modern marvel no more. You're just like a what the fuck are they doing over there sort of thing. It's like, but yeah, it's good to see. That's what gives us the hope in the UK, I think, is to see America being able to switch back from how crazy and how far it had gone. If you know what I mean.
But the thing is, you say that, Billy, but some people see it that way, but there's still, I would say it's 50-50. Around 50-50, there's 50% of people out there who think that now Trump's in power, that America's in the worst state it's ever been in, and it's going to become a fascist dictatorship. And there's other people who think, oh no, this is the best we've been in for a long time. It's crazy how there's such a stark difference in between the two opinions, and there's not very many people in the middle, and
Can
that's
I
completely down to the media. You know what
can
I'm
I
saying?
ask like one question? You said it's 50-50. Where do you get your opinion that it's 50-50?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
You just
If
well, look at the votes that take place. Like the recent elections going on.
Yeah.
In the USA, it was close. I mean, what was the actual end results? Was it like 48-52 or something? It was close when it came to what was the popular vote? How much did Trump win by on the popular vote? Let's ask
But then
Google.
there's also the people that didn't vote, and you don't really know what they think. Did they not vote because they don't care, or it's like, if you know what I mean, there's a lot
Mm.
of that. Also, the fact that a lot of the people that voted were obviously like slightly overage, like they was a bit old, like the ones that on the social security ages they came up with, like 120-year-olds and all of that, claiming fucking
Yeah.
yeah. That's just like, oh my god.
Okay.
People can't complain
Mm.
about that, can they? About like 150-year-old claiming social security.
Well, they were
People,
trying to spin it here in America that it was like, well, if you take away the money from all the fraudsters, then that money's not going to be in the economy circulating, all this kind of stuff.
oh god,
So
really?
probably shouldn't cut out
Mugs.
the fraud. That's how they spun it.
Don't cut out the fraud because it puts more money in the economy. It's like,
Right, because they
what?
buy plane tickets and cars and shit, right?
You fucking hell,
Hotels.
man. This is the stupid logic of these people. It's like they just don't understand common business sense, isn't it? It's like,
It's like a little kid arguing with an adult.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're like, it's time to go to bed. And you're like, no, it's not. You're like, yes. And then they just, like, they have no reason to argue against
yeah.
you. Common.
So, so
Again, man, it's the common
is it?
sense.
Your bedtime's at 7 o'clock. It's now 8 o'clock. It's like, no, it ain't. It's 6 o'clock.
See, look at that.
Yeah.
It says here that Trump won 49.9% of the popular vote, where Harris garnered around 48.4%. So only a 1.5% difference. That's crazy.
Yep.
Wow.
Shows you how crazy people are out there, really, doesn't it?
But are we the crazy people? That's the thing. Don't get it twisted now.
No, I know
We
we're
can
not
sit
the
here and
crazy
think,
people.
how do we know? Maybe we are the ones who are brainwashed. You have
Well,
to keep that
how
in the
about
back
this?
of mind.
We get
now,
4
right?
years to see. You get
Mm.
4
Yeah.
years to see what happens. And that's
Yeah,
why I think,
exactly,
in my
yeah.
opinion, it's going to be 12. But if it's not, then who knows? We'll go back to where everybody is, they're. It was just weird how it just never stops. You could. Piers Morgan was talking about that. I think he was talking about, if I want to identify as, unicorn or whatever, you're gonna
Shish,
take
Mad
me
Dog.
seriously. And these people are like, yes.
Mhm.
Mad
This
Dog
is-
wondered where the people vanished. They all
Oh,
died,
man.
obviously, Mad Dog. They obviously were old. They was old and died. If you get what I mean.
Well, let's talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
definitely flags. That is.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Do you know when you go to the fairground and it's got 6 flags on it? Yeah, that's where the fairground we're entering there. We don't want to go on the 6 Flag fairground.
Crazy. But yeah, look at the charts.
Yeah.
Come up with your own conclusion. I think
Yeah,
you can, by what we've said so far, that you can pretty much guess what our conclusion would be, but we shouldn't say it on YouTube because there'll be flags. But
But that's the only thing you can say is you just got to do your own research on
Hey,
the
boy,
news
sorry to
stations and
interrupt, but my
conclude
my
it.
kids are waving me down.
No worries, man.
So
You got
I
kids.
imagine my son's in there losing his shit.
Yeah.
Do we have Billy? Do we have like a thing for next week where I can study up on and
I'll send you some
this is
info.
happening?
It's every month.
Okay, great.
Every month.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep.
The first Saturday of the month we will be here.
First
Nice.
Saturday every month.
Yeah.
This was great. I enjoy this more now because I've kind of talked about cannabis for all these years.
Yeah.
Where this is more like stimulating to my mind than kind of just, even though I'm all about cannabis, love cannabis. This is fun to me, and talking to you boys, it just makes it sweet. Like, this is a sweet little Saturday
Nice,
to me.
man.
Cool,
Yeah,
man. No worries.
It's cool, Brian. I appreciate it. It's always good chatting to you about anything, bro. So, anytime.
Yeah, we'll
Thanks
see
for
where this
joining
goes.
us.
It seems fun.
Yeah, man. So
All right,
we're on.
fellas.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, go do your thing, Brian.
Go
cool.
do your thing,
go
man.
do your thing, bro. Thanks for jumping in. Nice one, bro.
All right.
Catch you later, dude.
Waving, you know.
Yeah.
What was you saying?
So we'll move on to the next bit. Let's have a quick random shit. So you got any random?
Let's have a quick
conspiracies?
random shit.
Yeah, let's have a quick random shit, mate.
Oh man, my random conspiracies right now, they go deep, and I don't know, man. I just
What have
sound
you
like
been
a fucking
following
crazy
recent?
person. So
What have you been doing research on recently? Then what's your most recent one?
I don't know, nothing different from what I usually research. It's just going further and further down the fucking rabbit hole. You know how?
What I've been looking
because-
at recently, actually, just quickly say, is the new space stuff, because we've been trying to land on the moon again. NASA have been sending stuff to the moon, and there's been pictures of Mars, and they're saying about like Mars could have had an atmosphere, and that they can redo the atmosphere there and all of that. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, but is that a conspiracy?
Yes and no. It's not, because it's more science fact now than conspiracy.
What's the science fact bit? What do you mean?
That Mars could have an atmosphere. The old Total Recall stuff is becoming more true, and that it had rivers and seas before, so it's tying in, strangely enough, with like the ancient alien sort of history. So oddly enough, so the moon stuff sort of is conspiracy, because it's like, well, it eventually tell us if we did go there before or not. We'll know the truth eventually. If you know what I mean. Because we'll have evidence.
But we'll be,
either
because I
way.
was thinking about this, because I seen a picture recently where I think it was an Indian probe, maybe a Chinese probe, has been doing circles of the moon, doing laps of it, take pictures of the surface, and it took a picture of the Sea of Tranquility where the original lunar lander was, Apollo 11, and they have pictures of it, like
So they've sent,
but we don't know if the
but they could
pictures
have
are
sent
real
one
or
up
not.
there. Yeah, but even they could have sent the machinery there. It doesn't mean that the people went there.
Very
If
true.
you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you
But why would
understand
they
what
do
I
that?
mean there? Because then it's proof that they went there. Even though they didn't go there, it's proof that they've sent machinery there. We've sent machinery to Mars. We've got Mars rovers. We've got Moon rovers. But NASA have just sent. It's meant to be landing in about 12 or 18 hours or something like that. They're going to be NASA landing on the moon, aren't they? So part of the Artemis program.
Yeah, that whole moon landing thing is that's a tough one. That is.
It is a tough one. That we'll do that one day as well. What other conspiracies have been? What's you been researching recently? Even if it isn't a conspiracy.
Well, what gets to me is the voting system here in the UK. The whole fucking first past the vote post system that we have here, and as a result, we have this Labour government. But it just seems like, and I know it's popular for when somebody gets into power initially, a political party gets into power, they start passing all the bad shit first, because then they've got a couple of years after to, once everything's been bad for a while, a couple of years to do loads of good shit that people like, so they're more likely to get voted in the next parliament and shit. But man, this whole freedom of speech thing, this invasion of privacy, freedom of speech, just heading towards this draconian totalitarian system now.
1984.
It's crazy to even think, but heading in that direction, man.
Yeah, it
so
seems,
quickly.
Yeah, but that's the strange thing, is how quick we've gone from sort of like the end of like the Conservative thing, where they sort of like fed stuff in, and then Labour have sort of come in and slammed it all straight in, like got the 6-inch nails out, the hammer, and gone blammo, here's the coffin, good later England. Sort of like George Orwell's been introduced. Like we will be having 2 and 2 equals 5 classes soon.
I don't like this whole putting UK troops in Ukraine either.
No,
Because I was saying to my
not
friend,
our
he's like,
war.
"Oh, but they'll only be there as a peacekeeping force." I'm like, "Bro, but if they're there as a peacekeeping force and Russia decides to push over the border into Ukraine, that peacekeeping force is going to have to do something to try and stop that from happening, and there
That's
will
a
be
NATO
British
war.
casualties, and that's it.
Then
Well, then it's a NATO war, and then it turns into World War III. You know what I'm saying?
even Putin don't want World War Three. Because why do you want to kill yourself and destroy what you got?
Yeah.
You might want to press a button at the end of your life, but then why do you build up a legacy to then destroy it for what you've left behind? If you know what I mean,
Mm.
it's to me it doesn't make sense. Sort of, so it's like they go on about how scary he is. It's like, well, if he's so scary, then how comes he's not just smashed the fuck out of Ukraine? If you know what I mean, he's got weapons that could just totally obliterate Ukraine. If you know what I mean, and he could take the entire of the Eastern Bloc if he wanted. What could we do? Start World War Three? It's like no, he hasn't. So it's either he's really strong or he's really weak. It's like there's no in between with people. So it's like, well, I just look at the actions rather than all the talk. If you know what I mean, because there's so much talk. It's just like fucking hell. Like it's
So much to it,
scaremongering.
isn't there?
Yeah, it's lots of scaremongering, and that's what I don't get, because like what they say doesn't follow facts and history, which the history of war is important. If you know what I mean, it's massively important. It's not almost tells you what's going to happen in the future, sort of like. So it's which is what Trump understands. Again, the history of war, and so it's because you can read it or you can see where it's going. So again, it's Russia man bad. It's find the boogeyman, so we don't look at what they're doing. If you know what I mean, to our own countries,
Mm-hmm.
to us, taking our power, taking our control, taking our money.
That's right.
Because we are left
So we
under
don't.
a thumb.
Oh yeah, we're in such a bad state right now in the UK. It feels, and of course it could get much worse. But still, that doesn't mean that we should be putting up with what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no news network that you can really follow to get a decent opinion about things. You know, a balanced opinion, that just seems really bad upon itself. But the UK is heading a bad way. And it seems to be controlled, man. It seems to be orchestrated. Because it's not just the UK, as I said earlier, it's France, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and all of
Canada.
these countries are heading in the same direction. You know, you skyrocketing house prices, the cost of living going up ridiculously, energy prices going up ridiculously, the cost of food going up ridiculously. Just over, and you see it in the USA because they had the election recently where it's like, oh, the price of eggs gone up. You need to do something about this, and it's like, yeah, but that's happened all over the world, and that's because of the whole bird flu bullshit.
The
But
farmland being controlled of as well, being bought
yeah,
up and stuff. That's happening in the UK as well, being
that's right.
redistributed to different uses. Oh, don't grow food anymore. Build fucking some solar panels on it. So what
How
the
can it
actual
be
fuck?
happening in so many fucking countries at the same time? That's
Yeah.
the deep state, That's
Yeah,
the people
that's
who run the shit, who are above the governments, and they tell the governments what to do. Those people playing the chess pieces.
totally. That is how it goes, man. So on to the next bit of the show, I think, which is readers' lives, which is like readers' wives, but it's your lives really. So ask us some questions about crazy shit going on in your life, where you are. Do you have any local conspiracies? Send us some stuff in, man. Say like, this is going on locally. I think this is a conspiracy. Do you know, like you've got like a sinkhole, a local sinkhole or something, and so or a local cave or something that has some crazy story to it. We want some crazy stuff like that. Because there's a sinkhole somewhere in the USA or Australia. It's called like Gary's Hole, sort of thing, or Wicky's Hole. And it's just like a hole that just no matter what you throw in it, you just don't hear it drop. You don't hear it hit the bottom. It just goes. It's like a void.
Cool.
So yeah, and I think that there's loads of weird stuff like that out there. So it's just anything out there that people know of, then let us know. Do you know any weird stuff like that? Stupid side stuff?
Not really. I'm just having a look at what you're talking about here.
Yeah, like there's something whole. There's a void. Have you found anything?
I'm just having a look now.
Yeah, it's a few months back. I see that. I'll have to have a Google up of it myself, and
No,
it'd be too far back on my history, like so. But yeah, I'll have to. I'll bring something on the next show about that to show everyone what it was about this whole.
Yeah, man. I mean, the whole fucking it just seems like everything's crumbling. I think for a while we've been riding on the coattails of people who actually knew what they were doing, whether it was maliciously or not. You know, like previous governments 30, 40 years ago who had some kind of idea what they were doing. And then over the last 25, 30 years, it's just been people getting into power who have been installed there because they don't know what they're doing, because they can be controlled. And we've just had this slow, gradual degradation of society. Yeah. And you know, just the hierarchy.
Yeah,
It seems to all be collapsing around us right now because we're just run by incompetent people everywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. The level of like incompetence throughout, sort of like the every level, like from the Home Office, and like everyone in like fucking the cabinets and anyone making decisions about anything. It's like anyone put into any positions of power. It seems like none of them have got any sort of like history in their position on the jobs. None of them are qualified. Half of them are lied about their CVs, it seems, and it's like they all belong to weird fucking groups and WhatsApp chat groups and shit. It's just like, what the fuck is going on in society at the minute, sort of thing. So
Seems control, man.
yeah,
I think
totally
the deep state is real.
it is.
Seems that way.
Well, so I think that's it then, really. So that's what we've come up with. The deep state is real. That's our opinion.
What's your opinion?
What's
Let us
your
know in the
opinion?
comments below.
Yeah. Woo. Like, press the like, thumbs up, and subscribe and all that shit. Because we might not be in any longer. So at least while you can, like and subscribe.
You know, please don't share. You know?
Yeah. We will be here next month, which actually is the 5th of April.
Sounds good.
Which is 5 weeks, so you've got like that extra week this time out there to push out some viewer mail questions, find out any local weird shit going on you want to chat about. Send it to us, because we like chatting weird shit here. With that, I think me and Mackie are going to wave, say goodbye.
Let's do it. Let's wave.
Is Mackie's waving,
Goodbye, everybody.
I think. Waving, saying goodbye and all that shit.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye and all that shit. Going to the outro.
Goodbye and all that shit. Say hi and chat.
There's music.